Let's bring in the Chief Executive of the British Road Haulage Association, Richard Burnett, who was listening to that, has been monitoring the scenes for the last 36 hours. Your headline thoughts on what we've seen over the last day and a half?
I'm incredibly concerned about what I'm seeing, Matthew. You know, we were supposed to have, processes and systems in place to be able to manage this. I think the other point to make at this point in time is that the numbers that you've quoted in terms of vehicles, the latest numbers I have this afternoon indicate that Manston is 60% full, which would say there's 2,500 vehicles in Manston. There's probably another 600 in Stack at the moment and another 600 in Ashford, and that doesn't take into account the vehicles that we've got parked in other lorry parks around Kent and Essex, and those that are parked in lay-by. So we're talking about thousands of vehicles, and we've had an inbound flow yesterday, which was 50% of normal. So we're probably looking at about 2,500, 3,000 trucks that came in yesterday, and potentially the same again. And those vehicles have also got to go back out. So we could be looking at anything from 8,000 to 10,000 trucks wanting to get back to Europe before Christmas Eve. That's going to be an impossible task. And clearly there are insufficient facilities available to these drivers at this point in time.
I'll ask you about the testing in a moment, but I do want to ask you about what it is like, the conditions, because we had one driver on. He couldn't even describe to me. He said it was too shameful to actually describe to me things like toileting arrangements. He spoke about the difficulty with money, with food, with water. What are you hearing? What sort of stories?
Exactly that. It's a disgrace how we are treating lorry drivers in the UK. It's been a long-standing issue. And, you know, after the issues of 2015 with the migrant crisis, we should have learnt our lessons by now. And we've had reassurances from government that these things would be put in place. They're not there. So, you know, toilet facilities are not there. Hot food is not there. Medical support and facilities are not there. This is not happening fast enough. And bearing in mind we're so close to transition and all the planning that government was talking about, wouldn't you expect this to be in place at the flick of a switch?
I'll come to transition in a moment. Let me ask you very briefly on testing. You heard what the French MP for Calais was saying, that his inclination was that it should be a lab test, and we know that that will take longer. What is your view?
Well, I think, look, PCR testing is going to take too long. Lateral flow is probably the sensible approach here. We have had protocols in place right the way through COVID. Lorry drivers have been the lowest, have had the lowest sickness rates, anything from 3 to 6%, whereas I guess other sectors more like 30 to 40% sickness. So they're isolated by the very nature of what they do and socially distanced. I think this lateral flow would be the right approach to take at this stage, but that is still going to put significant delays into getting these people back to Europe. But also, if it's going to run through to the early part of the new year as well, we're going to face problems potentially from the 1st of January.
A final quick question on transition, which of course 10 days to go in terms of those talks. A quick question on what the government has been saying about food supplies. They're saying that the supply lines are robust. There's no need to panic buy. What is your view on the supply chain and the impact all of this is likely to have in the coming days?
Right. The further we eat into the stocks that we've built, the bigger the problem comes. And if we get another resolution to this, then we do have a building problem. We've already seen the reduction in terms of the EU haulers that are willing to come to the UK and being stuck in these queues. Those are EU haulers that we rely on to bring those just-in-time food products in, and that's going to create a bigger challenge. Those stocks are going to I guess be worn down as we dig into the transition stocks. So come the new year, if we have no resolution to this and we have further delays, then we will have problems with our supply chain in terms of flow, into supermarkets. There is no doubt about that.
Richard, we've run out of time, but Richard Burnett, thanks for joining us here on BBC News. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.